rapidly throughout the past couple of decades and has revolutionized teaching and learning. Blended learning, combining the best elements of online and face-to-face education, has emerged as the prominent teaching model of the future. The many technologies that have been developed and deployed in blended learning are making a meaningful impact on the quality, engagement, retention, and even cost effectiveness of imparting knowledge and skills to learners. The evolving research in the academe is long and demanding, with varied ideas on best practices in adopting learning technologies in education and blended learning, thus facilitating the need for continued and in-depth research on instructional models and support needed to maximize achievement and success. On this note, I would like to open the panel discussion by inviting our first panelist, Mr. Khusru Parvez Khan. Mr. Khusru Parvez Khan is a dynamic professional currently appointed as the head of campus at Zabist. He has been trained in public policy formulation from Kennedy School of Government, Harvard, and National Management College, Lahore. He has been a member of Pakistan Administrative Services and served in various administrative and secretariat positions for more than 32 years. His core area of expertise is public policy development, its administration, and implementation. So, Mr. Khusru Parvez, please share your ideas and insights on the emerging technologies and education for blended learning.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saib. I'll start from the pandemic experience, which we witnessed, all of us are witness to it. And I'll just go back 4 years back when the Vice President of Research, North America, was visiting us in Pakistan. And he said, look, gentlemen, digital transformation is in the offing, and it is one thing which is the key to your future. And if Pakistan will embrace this, then you'll be floating with us, otherwise you'll be falling behind. Now, this was about 4 years back, prior to the pandemic, when they actually, shared their research knowledge with us that how we are moving forward. Pandemic actually fast-forwarded everything as far as the digital transformation is concerned, and it has also impacted the education sector, I say the most. In a country like Pakistan, this was the first unit which was closed by the federal government and the provincial governments with one notification on 14th of March 2020. And thereafter, we saw that in our landscape, we were struggling to reach to the communities, we were struggling to reach to our students, we were struggling to deliver to our faculty, our academia, our student body and all that. But the good thing which happened in Pakistan was that in this scenario, many of our HEIs, some of the colleges, and most of the school systems in private sector, they embraced the emerging technologies and their platforms. And the special to mention are the platforms where you connect the groups and mass of people on one side and the faculty and the instructors on the other side. And that was the beginning when we went into this adventure. There is an old saying that in every challenge there is an opportunity. We saw a huge opportunity coming into it. And in these universities, a blended mode of learning started emerging, where there were online lectures, there were online delivery, and along with that, there were the tutorials where the students were being called in small groups into the classrooms and scattered, and were having the social distancing norm and everything, keeping in view the COVID protocol. And it went a very, very effective experiment in that respect. From there on, it is an unending journey, I must say. And we are now experimenting with one of our program where we are actually now our Ladkana campus, which is in a remote area, we are delivering our MPM program, all the courses of MPM program online. And the faculty is in Dubai, the faculty is in Karachi, the faculty is sitting in Europe, in USA, and in Pakistan. So that is the kind of opportunity which we see. But there are certain parameters which we need to adhere. One is that in this blended mode of learning, the HEIs or the higher colleges, they need to have the digital workplaces ready for this. I mean, if I see from my experience of Zabest and all 5 campuses, one thing was the readiness of the digital workplace, which we were actually working for last 2 or 3 years prior to the pandemic. And we were we were good with this, and then we built on that infrastructure. The second thing was that as in the education sector, as a business strategy, we said, what are those 2-3 things which we can do and we can win back the trust of the community and the trust of the student to whom we are actually delivering. So those 3 things were that there should be a management with a purpose. That was the first thing. Then a management driven by the data, whatever the feedback we are getting from our community, our students, and that openness. And then a human-centric management, where the requirements of the students and our faculty and the community should be measured, and then the adequate response and timely response should be there. That worked very well, I must say. The feedback from the remotest areas like GB, Gilgit-Baltistan, borders of Azad Kashmir, Balochistan, it was a tremendous, when we saw their digital connectivity, the digital connectivity to the student was around 95%. And the 5% which were left out, they went to the digital centers in the districts, and therefrom they were getting connected. Issue was, what was the issues? This is something which we sailed through very effectively, but there were huge issues. The issue which we confronted was, one, the mindset. The mindset of the people who were managing it. May it be faculty, may it be my staff, may it be my senior administrative people, there was an issue of mindset. And we had to actually work out for a very simple digital vision for blended learning for all of them, which should be easily understandable not only to these stakeholders but to the students also, so that they can have and they can move forward. So that was my first challenge which we did. The second was content, the curriculum. The traditional mode of classroom delivery, the content-based delivery, actually we moved from the content-based delivery to the skill-based delivery, and now we are moving from skill-based delivery to experiential learning also, that we are embedding in our pedagogies, so that the students and the communities, they can benefit from that. And the stakeholder on the other side, which will absorb that student, should also be on the board. Yesterday in the NBSE conference, and after that, my point on way forward was that we need to build the portfolios of our business students like we build the portfolio as in many other industries. Say in the accounting, there is a concept of articleship. So why can't we have a concept of the business graduates which can move forward, and they can have, say, in their 6th, 7th, 8th undergrad, they can have at least 3 to 4 projects, 3 to 4 capstone projects in their portfolio. And then they can go to the industry and say, hey, this is my portfolio. This is I have worked in your industry, because every industry has its own dynamics and its own demand. And this is very important for this, that to address that kind of an issue today. The third thing which I noticed, and it is still a challenge, and that is the assessment. The assessment part is one of the most challenging part which we have witnessed. And I think that is one area where when the HEC gave us an architecture of 8 readiness points, one of the point was that in the assessment, would you like to make an open assessment, an open book assessment? And interestingly, 90% of my faculty was in favor of open book assessment. That was very interesting. And then we started working, because then you need to actually change in the delivery, in the pedagogy, because that pedagogy will then eventually lead to the assessment methodology, its intervals, the schema, and all that. So this is our experience as far as Zabist and our 5 campuses is concerned. So I'm sharing that experience, and here from we can move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm very impressed with the innovative ideas that you shared, and I believe that you raised very pertinent points. And just to reiterate what sir said, that we need to embrace digital transformation in the education sector. And some of the points that he's touched upon is that we need to have a more proactive approach rather than having a reactive approach towards the digital transformation. And I also like the fact that you touched upon the idea of equity, how digital transformation is helping us to reach out to the remote areas in terms of the education sector. And yet again, it is bringing to the forefront the importance of data, and especially the readiness of the faculty, the infrastructure, the curriculum that you talked about, and also the assessment and the instructional models. And obviously the alignment of the business graduates with the industry to enhance employability. So thank you so much for sharing your instructional models and your innovative ideas. And on that note, I would like to move towards our second panelist, Dr. Nohe Server. Dr. Nohe Server has a broad-based and rich experience of teaching and research in both international and domestic universities. He is currently the principal and dean of NUST Business School and has been associated with it for the last 15 years. Previously, he has headed the Department of Management and HR from 2002 till 2007. He was awarded a full scholarship by the Norwegian organization NORAD to pursue MBA at AIT, and was also awarded the European Commission Scholarship for Student Exchange Program between European and Asian students to study at Oxford. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. I would like you to share your ideas regarding our theme for the panel.
Khusro Saab has really explained very well about the situation which we were in. COVID has been a difficult time, challenging time, and so many things which emanated also provided interesting opportunities. Online teaching was something which was not totally new, but it quickened the pace once the COVID came in. This blended learning opened new vistas when we were able to have some classroom lectures as well as having few online things. More experimentation has been done, more opportunities. You are familiar with Zoom and MS Team, and then more apps came into play through which we were able to utilize. Even students got used to so many things like breakout rooms, and even when we are talking about new opportunities for the case study teaching, the video cases, people learned very quickly and grasped pretty quickly. I think that's the interesting part, that's the good part, that people embraced it quite quickly, although not without challenge, as Khusro Saab has said. But it really had a positive impact. At national level, you may be aware, but even HEC is now developing an online teaching strategy. and they've made a consortium of the universities for the MOOCs courses, and it will come up with hopefully a policy through which there would be more consistency in terms of application of these technologies. See, challenge would always be there, but it also have certain opportunities. Universities were able to work more on updating their curriculum, their pedagogies. In terms of curriculum, like we started off a course of disrupting technologies, and within that people were able to learn a few things which they were a little familiar with, but they were able to get to learn more about artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, Internet of Net, fintech, and those concepts. People were able to grasp those and then utilize them in their teaching for the faculty and the students for learning. I think collectively things have worked pretty well. And over the period of time, I think this is COVID, even post-COVID, these things are going to stay. The new technologies, may it be some very familiar case studies or simulations being run, or it is virtual reality or augmented reality, these things are being incorporated, and you will see more of it in times to come. In terms of challenges, actually, especially in the emerging economies, we do face certain constraints in terms of the training or the adequacy of skill set to conduct. Even this resource problem in Pakistan or in other emerging economies, because not all universities can have those kind of facilities through which they can work on that. But things do get better over the period of time, and if we start pushing it, I think we need to do much more. One area which I saw as a challenge and an opportunity was this, to blend this and adapt the content towards blended learning. I mean, you cannot just think that you will have a blended learning and you just keep the content as it was. You need to adapt it, and people have done that. And it has been useful for the students also. I think in terms of learning, in terms of getting grasp of the idea, it has been a good experience. And as Khusro Saab said, that people sitting in different continents and yet are together, and you can have the opportunity of learning from people maybe sitting in 5 different continents in one lecture. It's just amazing. And even you may be familiar with, and you must be familiar with, so many conferences and seminars which has taken place in this period. The kind of people who people half jokingly say that as there was COVID and people had so much time available to them, people who were willing to come on a Zoom or a MS Team for these seminars was phenomenal. And people realized that traveling, after all, may not be a preferred way of moving, and they were so comfortable sitting in their offices, participating, learning from each other. So there are so many new things which has come up. As Khusro Saab said, assessment has been an issue over the period of time. I think we need to work more on it and make it as foolproof as possible, but there would be, when there's a not totally online and there's a blended, then you have an opportunity of going for face-to-face assessment. You have opportunity when you can have open book exams in future, more project-based kind of things, more experiential learning in the classroom. These all things would work much better. Although in online there was a huge gap between the faculty and the students, and people really felt that this weakened the relationship between the faculty and the students. And first thing which we noticed post-COVID was the students' willingness, and they were so happy to be back in the campus. Even those who were not so motivated to be in the class and in the university seemed to be absolutely delighted to be back. So, and although students have pointed out that one of the things they have missed out, and badly missed out is that their interaction which they were supposed to have with other students and the faculty during that. We sympathize with you for that, but of course that's a phase. Hopefully it is moving over, but these things are they are here to stay, so we need to embrace and learn and do better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nohes. I believe that all of us would agree that we need that shift in mindset in embracing the challenges and both the limitations that come with the digital transformation, especially in the post-COVID scenario. And thank you for sharing your experience regarding the case study teaching methodology. So NUST is known for its case study teaching methodology. And I believe that was a different challenge, especially in the COVID scenario. And just to yet again reiterate what Dr. Nohes said, there's certain limitation that comes with the digital transformation, such as training for upskilling the faculty and students, both limitations of infrastructure. And you also highlighted a very important factor that we realized in the COVID scenario, that relationship disconnect between students and faculty. But I believe a key point that Dr. Nohes raised is that we also need to look at these limitations as challenges and how we can maximize on the human aspect and yet again move towards that digital transformation. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your ideas. And we would like to move towards our next panelist, Professor Dr. Mohammad Mukhtar. Professor Dr. Mohammad Mukhtar has over 25 years teaching experience in biomedical sciences. Besides teaching, he has a very strong portfolio of academic administration by serving as director, principal investigator, and Vice Chancellor President of the Higher Education Institutes in both North America and Asia. Dr. Mukhtar received United States Agency for International Development Scholarship to complete his PhD from the Drexel University of Philadelphia. Additionally, the US government awarded him the Outstanding Scientist Visa Award during the years 1995 till 2006 for conducting research, training students, and young scientists to pursue their careers in medicine and biomedical field in the USA. He has led diversified assignments in several parts of the world, including Brazil, Portugal, Pakistan, United Arab Emirates, and the United States of America. So thank you so much for being here today, and I would like you to share your thoughts on the digital transformation in education and blended learning, and what's the way forward.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Though in my dictionary, ladies should be first, with due apology, so if you allow me, I can talk,
Oh, please do.
Okay, thank you very much. This is fascinating. So, let me, as she introduced, I am a hardcore researcher. And US government spent almost $30 million on my research project that was developing brain in a test tube. I came to Pakistan. This is my homeland. I was just sharing with her, like my kids never returned, but I am here, thanks God, My idea was to do something, to do some good thing in research. I'm a biotechnologist, but Pakistan is a unique country. It makes you vice chancellor instead of taking you in the research path. So this is my 5th university as a vice chancellor. But anyway, except Dr. Naeem, 2, 4, 5 people sitting on the top, we are the luckiest one. Sorry, Dr. Naeem. I think you are the younger one. That's the reason I'm not calling you the luckiest, The reason for this one is, we have seen the schools, like as honorable guest said, that blended learning is a way that you can learn from the humans as well as you can learn from the machine, that is e-learning or internet learning. So we have seen the era in which we were having a great interaction with the professors, with great professor, and of course in the morning professor was talking also, like personal interactions matters a lot. About blended learning, the e-learning component, because I'm a neurobiologist, still we are not sure what the outcomes are going to be. But believe me, COVID-19 has pushed us into a world where we would have to follow the norms of this blended learning. We have to get involved with this one. And always, I mean, I would like to appreciate, because with due apology, I kicked Dr. Naeem out from this group, so I would like to appreciate his group also. So how I come over here, like human touch always matter. In his faculty, there's a lady named Dr. Tasadduq Bashir. She was in one of my selection committee, and she is such fascinating. Like, she helped us in a great way, and she invited me, and I told her, by all means, I will be there to learn. And she gave me a punishment, like, I mean, because I agreed to sit over here, you know. It's a fascinating to sit on that side of the aisle and have a good time. But anyway, my start was from a school that went into river 3 times. You know, river cut the lands. I'm from Bahawalpur, and I saw my school going into the river 3 times in 5 years of my initial schooling. And I used to pray, oh my God, is there any way that this river leave the schools and we can move the schools? So that never happened. And because in my last, like, I mean, when I was in 5th grade, so my school was under a tree. And we were using such type of, we call them tart in our language, we used to sit on that one. And unfortunately, there was a guy who was on drug, and we used to put that tart on the school. One night, he stole that one also. So, I mean, but we were strong believer that we have to keep the human touch. And what we did, we have a lot more date palms, so we cut the date palm and we put that one on the bottom. So when they were green, we used them. When they get dry up, people used to take them home and they burn that one for their cooking needs and things like this one. So this was this was the great era of interaction with people. And thanks God, then I end up in United States, and I had an opportunity to serve in one of the best university on the earth. That is the University of Pennsylvania, one of the Ivy League school. And after that, I took a class over there, first class. Now, I mean, blended learning, the word is confusing us. You know, these IT people, I mean, those who are IT, I mean, my deepest apology, they are smart. Oh my God, it's a simple concept. Teachers and e-learning. Sometimes they call it hybrid learning. Sometimes they call it blended learning. Sometimes, I mean, there are hundreds of names. You can listen this one, and they have distributed into different things. Just give me a break. Don't confuse. Like, blended learning is the way to go if we face the situation like COVID-19. But I was sharing with you, like, people make a lot more money also from this blended learning. You know, I'm thinking of suing my alma mater because I completed once, I'm thinking I will never do it, you know. Because I completed one certificate from Stanford University. And in late 90s, they were having a Stanford Center for Professional Development, and they started few courses, and that was on hybrid learning mode. The technology, which is like, I mean, it's the class is ongoing, and people are enrolled on the net also. And Stanford is really smart. They were charging exactly like the people who were in class. They were charging the same money from the other who were enrolled. Guess what? In one of the class, I tried to find out that how much students are enrolled. They told me 27,000 students. And what were the fee of Stanford in those days? $700 per credit, I think $700, $800. And they were charging exactly like this one. So anyway, having said this one, now we have entered into an era where e-learning is cheaper. Like in Pakistan, we are thankful to Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. They have provided Coursera free.
Yeah.
to all the universities. Go and learn this one and become the best one. But anyway, I mean, I know I have a time constraint.
Yes.
I am very bad, trust me, you know. And one time, because when I was serving in Philadelphia, my president, Jefferson, he said, I hate you. Because his daughter was my student. Later I find out his daughter told him, you know, Dad, you are not such a good teacher. That Asian guy is a good teacher, you know. So that's the reason I have to keep myself contained. Like, I mean, you know, how many minutes are left over?
So we're almost done with the time.
I'm over time, so give me 2 minutes. Okay? Can you do it?
So let's make it 1 minute and then we can give you more space
Oh
during
my
the
God,
Q&A.
ladies are so cruel, John. Oh, we do apologies, sir. You know, I appreciated Dr. Tasadduq Bashir and you are not giving me 1 more minute. Okay, but anyway, I will, in 1 minute, I had to be quiet. National Skill University, Islamabad is the only university recognized for skill education in Pakistan. We are the only one having authority to stamp UNESCO UNEVOC. Okay, and we have been tasked with 8 other countries of the world to find out what type of blended learning will be good for teaching technical education. So still we have to look into this one. So it's just the start, and we should keep moving with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you
My
so much,
deepest
sir.
apology for my hard words.
No need, sir.
Because I have a gray hairs, and I consider everybody who is sitting in front of me, I consider them as my students, as a sons and daughters. So I always take the leverage. Thank you very much. Thank you.
sir. So thank you so much. I believe both the faculty and students present enjoyed your insight into your journey as a student and as a teacher. And we're going to give you more space during the Q&A, so no worries, we deeply value your insights. And I liked how he posed the main idea that in this digital transformation, we need to find a way to amalgamate the human touch and the machines as well. And how, in order to keep that human touch intact, we need to focus on the best way to adopt technologies and figure out a way during this rebirth of global economy. And so also focused on that we need to move beyond the tokenistic idea of blended learning, where the focus is simply on defining the best terminology. Rather, we need to figure out a way how to create changes in the pedagogies and how to recreate and reassess the impact that we need to have in the education sector. Thank you so much, sir. And on that note, we move to our next panelist, Ms. Joanne Powell. Ms. Joanne is the lead advisor with Quality Education Development, a long-established advisory company that supports business schools with continuous improvement, international accreditation, and leadership development. Joanne has extensive experience in education, training, and assessment. Prior to joining QED, she worked as an educator, a chartered accountant, and as head of assessment for Chartered Accountants Ireland. Joanne is also certified as a DIS trainer and a leadership facilitator. Ms. Joanne, so based on experience in education, training, and assessment, what are your suggestions on the way forward?
I've just started my clock so I can watch my own time and try not to go over time. And how do I follow the gentleman on my right? He deferred to me as a lady, but I say age before beauty at all times. So it is absolutely lovely to be here. And one of the themes that I've heard about, well, I've heard many things, and it's only mid-morning. But one of the things I've really heard about is the word passionate. And I think my colleague Dr. Nadine mentioned that in her keynote speech, that it's important to be passionate about what you do. And I'm very, very lucky. I work with QED. We work with business schools across 6 continents. The only one missing is Antarctica, and the only reason it's missing is there's no business school there, so we can't work with them. But we're very lucky because I get to work with different schools doing continuous improvement. And continuous improvement is what I'm passionate about. It's what makes me get up in the morning, it's what drives me to interact with different colleagues across different schools all across the world. And I think this theme that we have for the conference around blended learning and emerging technologies is really, really interesting. And one of the areas, I speak on this tomorrow, so really I'm using this opportunity just to pick up on a couple of points that I won't get to talk about tomorrow. But one of the things that strikes me is that blended learning and technology is a tool. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I like to try my hand at different things. And several years ago, I decided that I was going to put up some shelves in my bedroom. So I bought myself a power drill. I have never used a power drill. I drilled into the walls. I took chunks out of the walls. I put up my shelves, which fell down 2 days later, and broke everything that was on the shelf. And the reason I say this, because a tool is only as good as the person using it. So you can have the best tools in the world, but if we are not able to use those tools in an impactful, and that was another word we heard today, and an innovative way, then those tools are not really much good to us. So let me pick up about innovation and impact in particular. So, Sandra, my friend, earlier today you were talking about innovation and the importance of innovation. And one of the things that we've seen with blended learning and with technology is, of course, innovation in curriculum and innovation in teaching. And we'll talk a little about this tomorrow, and I will certainly bow to my more experienced faculty members in the room. But innovation, it's been really interesting as somebody who works outside in an advisory capacity to look at some of the innovations that I've seen in terms of blended learning. And I think the most interesting example I've seen, and I have chosen it deliberately because it relates to the shipping of the maritime industry. Middlesex University in the United Kingdom had a similar to Bahria Business School here, have a link with the maritime industry and a link with shipping. And they were looking to find a way to bring education to those that are working on the ships. And of course this presents difficulties because, as we know, ships work out at sea. They're not known for their Wi-Fi connectivity. They're not known for their ability to stop and get off and go to a class for a couple of hours in the evening. Life doesn't work like this. So the team at Middlesex worked very hard to develop an MBA program that is done not just completely online, that's one aspect of it, but they also really had to consider how they manage the blend of synchronous and asynchronous learning. And that's really what comes back to the heart of blended learning. Which bits can you do on your own with your machine, build up a very nice relationship with your machine, and work that way, and which bits can you do, whether online or face-to-face, with other people. And for this MBA program, because of the challenges, their market, the people they were working with, they came to the conclusion that all of the content had to be asynchronous. Now that is a real challenge. It is a very different mindset to think that all of the content, the formal content, had to be delivered asynchronously. It had to be delivered in such a way that when the ships went into port, that those who were taking the program could download the material quickly while they had a Wi-Fi connectivity, and then could work on the material while they were out at sea and were less connected. And the other challenge they had was this, was that how do we build up a sense of a student cohort? Referring back to the messages my senior colleagues mentioned, how do they build that human touch into it? So they worked particularly hard to develop the student chat groups using WhatsApp, WeChat, etc. And they worked hard at building up a very strong sense of community in a very structured way, putting in topics of conversation on a weekly basis, putting in questions on a daily basis, and inviting the students to partake in those questions. And what are the results they've seen? They've said that the students that were engaged on the MBA for the shipping industry, despite the fact that they never meet face-to-face, that they have no formal synchronized learning, were the most engaged and among the most connected of their student groups. So this is where innovation is important, and we need to step outside of our usual ways of doing things. The second area I'd like to just quickly mention, and I'm watching my time, is impact. I see I'm at 6 minutes, so I know I'm getting close. So in terms of impact, because I work in the accreditation industry, one of the areas I'm interested in is the impact of all of the changes in education on the accreditation and the various bodies that regulate and quality assure us. I see that AACSB, which I know many of the schools in Pakistan are interested in, have done really good work in terms of upgrading their support and their guidance for digitalisation and for blended learning. Similarly for EQUIS. I note the HEC in Pakistan brought out some really strong guidance for schools very quickly actually in the pandemic to support the different schools with their programmes. However, there's one area that I think is still open to challenge, and that is what I'd like to leave you with as a question, and that is the area of assessment. I think a huge amount has been done around how we teach, pedagogy, etc. I think less has been done on assessment, and I think there's less innovation in assessment. And if I was to leave you with one challenge, it would be to put equal energy into the innovation and impact of assessment as we're doing with pedagogy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Joanne. I believe that she raised a very pertinent point that blended learning is yet again a tool. It is supposed to facilitate teaching and learning. It should not be a replacement for teaching and learning. And I like your idea about how we need to combine different domains and have a more cross-sectional approach to reach out to different groups that we haven't tapped before in education. And just to highlight some key aspects of what Ms. Joanne said, that in asynchronous learning, we have the opportunity to increase accessibility of education to different groups. And I believe that's very relevant to Pakistan as well. And how do we yet again build a sense of community in the students? This is where the differentiated learning model comes into place, use of WhatsApp group and chat boxes. And while I was listening to you, I remember a research paper that I read where a community in Africa, they created an entire curriculum just using WhatsApp. And so there was an entire report that was written around it. And finally, she also raised some important aspects around impact, that there's a lot of innovation in the way we're teaching, but there's very less innovation of how do we assess those differentiated models. So we need perhaps more, we need to put on our thinking hats to create more space in the assessment element. Thank you so much for that. And on that note, we move towards our next panelist, Dr. Sander Schrovers. Dr. Sander is currently teaching at Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences. Dr. Sander has authored around 80 books in the field of international communication and global leadership, and is an academic reviewer and editor-in-chief of journals and magazines in 5 countries. Additionally, he was the former dean of a Chinese business school, as well as a visiting professor in Moscow, Belgium, Germany, Georgia, Kazakhstan, and many more countries. Thank you so much, sir, for being here.
TK, I have to say I was really tempted when I heard about female cruelty. I thought maybe we should start with that, but we'll do that later. So I would like to share with you, this morning was very on a macro, but more geo-economic level. Now I would just like to introduce as a case study my own course. It's a course that I teach for the Amsterdam University, and what we try to do, and I'm really aware that without COVID we would have never gotten it through accreditation. But yeah, I don't want to say thank you COVID, but not at all. But it really helped to get things moving. We were confronted with, it's one of the larger programs at my university. We are the biggest, we are a tiny country, but it is the biggest university in the tiny country, and we started to get more and more students, and we came to a situation where it didn't fit the classroom anymore. So we thought, okay, let's, and we had a bold idea, like maybe can we get the students out of the classroom and can we deliver the learning in the palm of their hand. So we try to offer different tastes. So what we actually did is that we, parallel to the regular teaching, we also offered the entire course on the smartphone. And there was a bit of a bold idea, and so we renamed the program the Mobile Minor. It's 30 credits. And we did it. Actually, you can do the whole thing, except for the examination, that's still on Proctorio, so that's a laptop. So old-fashioned. But for the rest, yeah, it is fully, you can join wherever you are, whichever time zone, doesn't matter. As long as you have bandwidth, you're on. And that, I would like to explain to you a little bit what we dealt with. I think I was intrigued by what you said about the sailors, because we had the same, that we decided to actually, we teach live, but every lesson is recorded. But actually we found that students don't like a recorded Teams or Zoom session. It doesn't have it. It's not attractive. So what we actually did is that we make a little bit like BUTV. That's what we do. We have cameras and we have green screens, and my living room at the quiet hours when the family is gone turns into a little TV studio with a lot of lights, and I spent a lot of money on good microphones. Still have to charge university for that actually. And and I learned how to edit, but that really worked. So me and my colleagues, we are part of the week, we are on green screens and sweating in front of very strong video lights, but it works. And what we do is it's a huge investment in the beginning, because there's a lot of lessons, there's a lot of, a semester is long. But after 2 semesters, all of a sudden I thought, hey, I have nothing this week, because we just publish it on YouTube, and then, so it is, it's masked, so it's not publicly, and you need to have the URLs, otherwise you cannot enter. And for the rest, it's really open. We want to make it as simple as possible. What we've done is that we actually, each time we develop a learning tool or readings or materials, we ask ourselves, how does this work on the phone? So we still teach, we still have lessons, but alternatively, if you overslept or you had a party or you just don't feel like it, no problem. It's there on the phone. When some people are morning people, some people are evening people, and for us it doesn't matter. We have students from Japan, from Costa Rica, from Mexico too, and they can choose when they want. We've also taught them how they can subtitle in YouTube. You can force it. If it has closed captions, actually YouTube automatically translates to Spanish, to anything you want. And Urdu, we tested it. Yeah, we have a lot of remote students that join us totally online whenever they feel like it. And then the teams themselves, they have to work on team assignments. And that they have to figure out for themselves. So depending on time zones, the Asians want to do it early. The Latin America wants to do it really late for us. So when we have feedback rounds, we do that in Microsoft Teams, or if students like something else, for China it doesn't work, so we use DingTalk. Then we do it either early or at night, so for the lecturers it asks a bit, but it's the only job we have at this university because we have so many students. So at the moment my group is 160 students, but it doesn't feel like that. That's the interesting part. So it's not a MOOC, it's just classic learning, but we have added things on top. Now to share with you the community we do on Facebook, although students start to complain and now want WhatsApp. But until now we have always used Facebook, and that really worked. It was a surprise for me. We're trying with Microsoft Teams, but it doesn't have the engagement. I can't easily upload a clip or so that we dumped. We're still using it for the video. What we do is a bit of a flipped classroom. So I make the videos and I try to keep them timeless, so I don't talk about the name of a prime minister, or I don't say it's winter, because it might be summer when they're watching, or in other parts of the world it is actually summer. And so we spend more time on talking with students, so you get the attention. That's what students want, I think. What we do is that we have short clips, and those we actually record in the, so vertically, and landscape is for the longer lessons. So we really decided like what knowledge can be in a tip clip. And the tip clip is 2-3 minutes, otherwise I lose my students. So we really concentrated on where's the learning bits. And the learning line is continuous. We do every week an assignment, a deadline, and feedback, and different lecturers. And we hardly meet them. I come to school on Tuesday, but sometimes there is 10 or 20 students instead of 160. So, but we see they are working. So we used to work on OneDrive, now we use Microsoft Teams. And all the feedback we do in Word. And you get little balloons, and there the lecturers say, this was crap, you can do a better job, and this was great, this is how we like to see it. So we give them the deadline, we give them the quality requirements, and you have to do a few different things for the remote students. So we make pep talks, and we say, you can do this, and it really looks stupid, but it works, you know, that's the strange pivot that we had to make as lecturers. Again, without COVID, I would have never slipped through accreditation, but now I have, and now also enjoy the freedom. And actually, my colleagues are teaching, and I'm here in Islamabad. So there is advantages as well. Yeah, the other thing I had needed to learn is that the screen is really small. So sometimes you just, instead of a whole PowerPoint, it's not going to work on a phone. So what we do is very visual and sometimes big keywords and short clips. So we work in 2-3 minutes, we explain the concept, but that works as well. You don't need to fill an hour, but you just have more clips. And the way we work is that paper that we use is the size of A4, is from the printing industry. And it is what printers use and what photocopiers use. That is from last century, millennium. Now, students, you're on your smartphone, you're not reading papers, and if you can get illegal books, I bet you they're on your smartphone as well, be honest. And so we decided, let's follow the smartphone, and all the papers that we use are no longer for computer, but they're actually on the size of a smartphone. So we have a very long PDF, and it's full of active hyperlinks. So the lesson plan, the semester overview, is no longer this classroom, it indicates the classroom, but for the non-campus-based students, it's also a hyperlink. So every document, every moment that we share, there's a hyperlink. So you either fly to YouTube or a PDF or a Word document where they have to work, and there is the deadline. I said, here's the deadline, and this hyperlink transports you directly to the Word document. Good luck. Or download the zip file and upload it later in your own folder. Good luck. Or I call your parents, things like that. Yeah, if I look at did it work, like a charm. I think if I ask the students, would you rather be early in the morning on campus, or would you like to do it any time of the day on your phone? What do you choose? Yeah, but there's also advantages of meeting people one-to-one. I believe that human contact is irreplaceable, but you actually can get pretty far on the phone. The mistake you should prevent is try to clone what you have always done in the classroom. It's another game, but the learning is still there. And actually, I think my students now, they don't want to go back to the classroom because this is much more intense. And if I look at the results and the output and the quality of the work that we get, it is so much better. So many more actually pass, and the evaluation score from the students is 10% up. We're the highest of the university. I don't know if that's true or if they're just like the freedom that we give them. We also give them a responsibility. And they know that they're being monitored like in China, because it is everything you can have little tracking things. So in short, yeah, we took it out of the classroom into the palm of the hand, and students liked it. They really deliver high quality work, and it was a lot of work building it up, but now I'm in Islamabad and I should be in campus. So there is something about it, and I think that explains my case study of how can you deliver an accredited course of 30 points on a smartphone. We did it, and I'm really pleased with the result. It was tough, but yeah, it's possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sander. And I think one thing that students over here would appreciate, that how much effort goes into creating that immersive experience for all of us. And I'm just going to share some key points that Dr. Sander highlighted, that in the digital transformation, we need to empower students to make them equal partners in learning. And we need to make use of the right technology to create an immersive learning experience for the students and make use of the alternative mediums. And I strongly resonated with the idea of the accessibility options that you mentioned, that how a lot of faculty over here at Bahria during COVID times, you also had to tap into those accessibility options, for example, running captions in various languages. I feel that's something that can enhance the learning experience. And yet again, one thing that can keep the learning experience engaging is the idea of information nuggets, that how do you create information and package it into something that is easily digestible for the students. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas. And on that note, we move to our last but not the least panelist for today, Professor Dr. Mohammad Naveed. Professor Dr. Mohammad Naveed is recognized as a global financial expert and academic advisor on knowledge economy drives, financial modeling, and research and development. He earned his PhD in corporate finance from University Technology Malaysia. Prior to PhD, he had been working as an R&D executive at Higher Education Commission Pakistan, where he developed research innovation policy, framework of Office of Research Innovation and Commercialization, business incubation and technology park models. He started knowledge economy drives to strengthen university-industry collaborations to uplift social, economic, financial development of Pakistan at both national and international fronts to increase higher education institutions' share in knowledge economy. Professor Dr. Mohammad Naveed is currently Dean Management Sciences and Principal at Bahria Business School. Sir, since you're a custodian of business school, what are your views on the emerging technologies and education and blended learning and the way forward?
Thank you. I would extend a special thanks to you for engaging the thematic area for this, the collective wisdom, I would say. Much needed, the need of time, since I could find the significance from the different purviews that is been well captured. We have discussions about the readiness, adaptability. We are speaking about how the new Plex is working, what the applications that we have. I want to bring the significance of my voice that is towards three areas. When we have the interaction through the different interfaces, whether this interface is taking the face-to-face communication, we are becoming the part of this, the e-learning is there. What is the takeaway? The takeaway is the acquisition of the skills, acquisition of the knowledge. When you claim it's a shared knowledge economy, so we need to replace the word knowledge with the working knowledge. This is more important. I have to be very kind to the words I received from the great Khusru Parvez. What he said, the assessment. Now, it's a two-way assessment, I would say. Assessment not in terms of the pedagogy only, assessment also in terms of the outcome that is associated. So I would give the more weight on the shoulders of the innovation drives that we need to expect from the faculty. It's the matter of orientation. What you seek is seeking you. If you're seeking the innovation, innovation is waiting for you. If you're not going to accept the change, so who cares? The change is constant. You have to accept otherwise. The same was the case study. We are speaking about the COVID. What is the lesson learned that we have from COVID? COVID is basically the systemic risk that has entirely changed the landscape of everything. So from that point of view, you have to be more wise, you have to accept the change, bring innovation. Innovation is the other word of the acceptance of the change. We can speak more about the methodical part of this, the e-learning, this blended combination of the face-to-face and the online education. We can go on the flip modes of the teaching, we can invite flexes, we can invite plexes, we can go with the enriched model of this virtual learning. At the same time, there is a huge concept about the learning labs. You have to engage the learning labs from the rotations point of view. We have the application of these new softwares, but don't forget the significance of the data mining. We have the data mines everywhere. There is the emergence of the data that is taking place. What we need today, we need data miners. So what the acumen I can extract from the faculty in today's age, we need to find out the faculty who is coming with the mindset of a data mining, so we can give the meaning to the data. If I have the interaction with the CFOs, so I need to change the mandate of the CFO. CFO would be more unleashed towards innovation. I don't want to see the CFO, I don't want to see the HR executives, they are working like the accountants. We need the faculty, they are good analysts. So this is only possible when we have the acceptability of the data. So we are coming up with the analytics, we are coming with the drive of the data, And we have to accept this reality. This is the right time. You have to harness the power of the data. And ultimately, the same point that is very close to the takeaway, the gap, we need to bridge between these two lines. When I say it's a face-to-face education and this is the online education, so you need to bridge the gap. The bridging of the gap is more important. Ultimately, we are going to have a very close eye on the skill sets, on the quality of the graduates that we are giving. So I would put more weight on the shoulder of the faculty. You have to be more innovative on the one side. On the other side, you have to bring your close thoughts towards the validation of your teaching, that is the assessment. So the quick note from my side, since the time is money, so I would set the ball rolling again.
Thank you, sir. So sir raised some very interesting ideas about how we need to yet again shift our focus on the acquisition of skills and learning as far as e-learning is concerned. And in terms of assessment, focus more on the impact that we want to create. So perhaps develop more methodologies, more models around how do we measure the outcome and the impact. And as all our panelists highlighted, that we need to have that shift in our mindset. We need to accept that the change is here. And change is going to remain over here. It's a dynamic landscape that we are dealing with. So we need to accept that change both from the students aspect and from the faculty, and create learning labs. So perhaps reinvent models around creating learning labs. And especially, sir, I like the idea about the use of data. I feel in today's world, the business analytics, data analytics, we need to see how we can use the data and the data mining aspect to reinvent our learning landscape. So thank you so much for that. And on that note, I would like to invite the audience to ask questions. Since we are short of time, we're going to entertain 2 short questions. Ji sir, Dr. Shahid sir. Sir Shahid, we can have a mic over there, please. जी एक माइक पे आप पे शिफ्ट कर दें. We will, please. Thank you so much. The challenges of technology. So please.
Assalamu alaikum. Shahid Haq. I think we got a very good overview of the change and the use of technology in teaching what we have today. But I'll take the question slightly further out into the future, because a couple of days ago, the CEO of Google announced a $100 million fund, education fund, and questions are being asked that would really, I didn't do that. And questions are being asked whether the traditional form of education will survive that way. Because let me give one small examples. Some employers are now questioning the value of degrees. So they are saying, do we need a 4-year undergrad? Do we need to touch all these courses? Do we need to have so many credit hours? So what we are talking so far is the existing program and the existing contents of the program, and just the use of technology to deliver those programs. That is only for the next 1 or 2 years. I think we need to live in a longer term program. Let me give you another example. There is the government of Pakistan at the high school level is now talking about functional learning, teaching through gamification, scenarios. And these are the technologies we need to use for future teaching. Not just use technology as a tool to deliver what we already have. So that was, any comments on that would be welcome.
Thank you, sir. So sir's question is more focused on, do we need to rethink the design of our degree programs? Do we need a 3-4 year undergraduate program? Do we need 2 years master's program? So the question is open to all of you who would like to take the question.
Me? He's getting revenge. He's putting me first. We have a competition. It is cruel. I think that we do need to keep thinking, and we need to keep challenging ourselves. The danger is always, of course, that we become focused on the trends and that we say because something is going in one particular, it's like a pendulum and we swing too far. And for me, the critical thing is to keep reflecting and to keep challenging. So I spoke to some gentlemen during the break and they were talking about the challenges that it takes in terms of time when we have to keep reflecting on what we do and what works and what doesn't. But if we don't reflect, we don't change. Whether our programs need to continue, for example, an undergrad program, a postgraduate program for 3-4 years, 2 years for postgrad, I think the area of micro-credentials and micro-learning is probably where it's going. So that instead of having one long 2-year master's program, schools need to really think about how they put together the building blocks and maybe even start to think of it in terms of Lego. How can we put the Lego pieces together to create learning that will allow people to focus on what's important for their skills right now, but then to change direction as things change, to utilize the time they have when they have that time, and then to take time back in the job. But I think we need to think in terms of Lego blocks rather than 2 years.
I like the analogy that you use of the Legos.
Yeah.
Since we're short of time, we're going... sorry, please, Dr. Sander, you would like to say something?
I just wanted to say the Lego is also what we compare it to. We now start to work in my country with certificates, so it's getting close to micro-learning.
Yeah.
And you have to realize one thing, what we had, but the jobs of tomorrow don't exist yet. And the changes are going so fast. So I think the student of tomorrow is a student that has the skills to learn quickly when it's needed. And the changes are so much more rapid than in the past. So we need to equip the graduate with the skills to be pivotal and to accumulate the necessary skills. It's éducation permanente, it's ongoing learning, you know it better than me, but I think therefore we cannot look behind. We have to create a higher education way where we actually give them small certificates and make sure that these credits are and what do you do with MOOCs? Do you allow them or don't you? And so it's going to be much more flexible, I think. The way I see the development in my country and in Belgium, it's really going that way fast.
I agree, the pace is a huge challenge over here because by the time students graduate, the world has already shifted. So yes, the pace is a definitely
I had to be
challenge.
brief because otherwise she will tell me, sir, your question is a not billion, rather billion-dollar question. And I will share with you the real example. It will be good for my sons and daughters who are studying over here to listen this one. National Skill University Islamabad has an advisory council. Vice Chancellor does not drive the university. It's the industry that drive, in that the owner of Serena, the owner of big IT company System Limited, and 14 other senior industrialists sit in the panel. And the president chaired that one. Without the permission of that meeting people, I would like to share with you, Mr. Asif Peer asked he need 50,000 people every year in computer science. And he was told that we are producing 35,000 master in computer science. He say among those 35,000, the good for me are only 1 or 2%. I think we have to change our curricula so that align with the need of workplaces. That's what I want to mention. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Just a small comment on what you have said. I think there are two very important things now. One is to decide about the qualification framework. What kind of a qualification framework we require? I mean, with the emerging and changing needs, and especially in the hybrid mode or blended learning. So we need to now define the qualification framework. That is very, very important thing. That will set the ground for the question you have asked. And the second thing is that we need to actually invest more into our high school education. That is from grade 8 to grade 12. That is one area where I see that in Pakistan, we are lagging behind and we are not providing that breadth to our students which are required there. And that lag is going on in the higher education also. And the third thing, sir, you have rightly said that the relevance of that education, what is the relevance, what is the requirement of the industry, and what kind of an impact it would be making on that. Perfectly all right. The quality is, as Dr. Mukhtar has said, it is the key thing. And I think there we need all the stakeholders, the students, the faculty, the regulators, the community. We need to sit together and decide about it. And there are many, many good examples. Dr. Naveed he has done his PhD from Malaysia. In 2017, I was there in a conference on online learning. And they placed their qualification framework at that point of time, which was built in 2012. It's a beautiful qualification framework, and they were ahead of time. I mean, a pandemic came in 2020. They were preparing for that, and they had a wonderful qualification framework, even for the business education. So I think those are the areas where we need to look into it, and that is where from we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I agree that the supply chain mindset also needs to be applied to the education, right? What kind of supply are we having? What demands do we need to meet? And since we're talking about the number of graduates we're producing and the employability, I believe Singapore is also a very interesting case study in that regard. You know, how many graduates they're producing and whether they're able to employ them or not. Since we're short of time, we had one more question. Ji, sir.
Thank you very much. I would like to draw the attention of the panel towards the psychological and social implications of blended learning, hybrid learning, asynchronous learning. There may be other terms also. What I noticed in the last 2 years of going through this experience was that we divided, or this mode of learning divided the students amongst have-nots, haves and have-nots. I'll be glad to elaborate, but we are short of time. And then we introduced and removed many social barriers. My question to the panel is that, is this particular aspect of this type of learning being researched into? Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So his question relates to the psychological and social effects of the digital transformation. Would any of the panelists like to address the question?
Sure. Thank you very much. Very, very important. And I think Bahria has a wellness clinic here. As far as the student advisement is concerned, they have a very well-established wellness clinic, which works around for the psychological counseling and all that, and social psychological engagement. We at Zabist are following the footsteps of Bahria. That is one good thing which we took from Bahria and we replicated here. And there are 6 trained psychologists who are working on that. But on the question of equity, that their access to this digital transformation and their status, as far as the financial and economic status, they are under great distress. And we conducted 3 surveys in these 2 years, and we found that 95% of them are connected in one way or the other. 5% are not, and 5% are those which are socially, otherwise, psychologically, they are disturbed also, and they are distressed also. So we made very special arrangements for them. And what were those arrangements? You can visit any of the university or college in your, and we went to different, say, Karakoram University and the Gilgit University, and we said you can use their premises. We have spoken to them, and you can go there, you can, and that will create a convenience for them. I think, most of the education leaders who are working in this arena, they are quite cognizant that this is one area which need to be addressed. Now, the second scheme which is coming is the Kamyab Jawan program of the government of Pakistan. It's a huge opportunity in terms of those people who does not have that equipment with them, or the monthly payments of this connectivity and all that. I think they can take due care of that through that Kamyab Jawan program. And one last thing, happened to be part of a school system also. When we, on the skill side, when the skills were announced and under the Kamyab Jawan program, the response was tremendous in 5 fields: SEO, search engine optimization, digital marketing, data sciences, artificial intelligence, and digital marketing. Now, these were the areas where there was a huge response, and there were not seats available where the people could be trained. And this is, by the way, under the Kamyab. And these people who were unable to attend the university or the graduate programs, they actually applied for that. And not only that, many high school, not the high school, but the university graduates also applied for that. So that is the data which is available in public.
Absolutely.
PhDs even applied for that. Yes. Thank you.
Sure.
How many of you have son or daughter going to school? Okay, good. Well, let me share with you mine. You can share your own story. In this COVID era, because in Pakistan, blended learning was introduced, I think we need to, your psychology and social aspects, sir, I watch, and I and my wife watch our son in a great way. He got 65% marks because he was cheating when he was taking the class in blended learning. I don't know how your kids have been doing.
Ms. Joanne, you wanted to say something. Would you like to add something to that? Not the cheating part, but the main question.
I have a similar situation,
Okay.
so I will echo that. I wanted to add something very quickly, and partially in response to the gentleman's question. When we're talking about blended learning, I think a lot of the time when we start thinking about curricula, we start thinking about the best way to teach. And the best way to teach strikes me as it's looking for a single right answer for any particular situation. And I think we need to change the sentence to say, what is the best way to learn? And that is a much, much harder question, because the best way to learn depends on multiple factors, and there can be many, many right answers for the same program and the same course. Because it not only depends on the material, whether it's information, whether it's skills, it's data, it also depends on the individual's context, it depends on the communications ability of faculty, and most of all, it depends on the learning style of the individuals in the class. So I think we need to be careful we think about the best way to learn when we're talking about this, rather than the best way to teach.
Thank you, Ms. Joanne. Dr. Nokes, you wanted to add something?
I do understand we are standing between your exit. I think best thing about the whole scenario is that people are talking, discussing. A few years back, probably this idea might not have been so well taken, or people may not have been so receptive to this idea that the existing system probably needs to be changed. We need to first discuss and look at the factors, which aspects can be changed, so that these people, the youngsters, can be ready for the future, for not a distant future, just immediate future we are talking about. So they must possess the skill set which is required, which is more relevant, which would have more impact in the industry and the community at large. One challenge which people are discussing more and struggling with is the social skills of the people. Although not that other skills are not important, when you're the students of whichever field you are, you need to have the knowledge and the skill set in that area. But one aspect that what you are able to get when you are in the university physically are the social skills, the softer skills, the team building skills. You need to get along with each other. You need to know those things. And if you are at home and studying, and if you are on a distance learning program, those things are just not, it's not possible to replace those things. So whatever we do, we need to consider all the factors, which kind of a program which we should have, what kind of a curriculum, what kind of a pedagogy we should use. But replacement of the time which you have to spend within the university, that would not be possible. So we should be careful in a knee-jerk reaction. We should not be too hasty in making an assessment. This factor, because when you go to the job, as much you need your technical skills and your business skills, you would require these social skills, the softer skills, to not just to survive, but to thrive and excel in your jobs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so Avais is pointing out that we have one question from the students, and that's the last question we will be taking because of shortage of time.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, esteemed panelists. I am a student of my final semester in BBA. My question is, going through the blended learning programs during the COVID semesters, and I'm not including myself, but I think most of the students are experiencing falling levels of motivation, falling levels of passion as to how to approach their studies. And like one of the panelists just mentioned, the factor of approaching this construct towards being more committed towards the studies and improving your soft skills. How will the blended learning programs be incorporating that aspect of improving the soft skills of students, at the same time maintaining their motivation and passion levels towards their studies?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's a very important question. So how can we, as custodian of the learning environment, help students sustain their motivation levels? Would anyone like to entertain that question? That how do we help students to keep their motivation level intact? So there's a push for training them, there's a push for updating their skills, but there's a decrease in motivation that the students face, especially during the COVID time. What can we, from the teaching aspect, do to help them sustain that motivation? Dr. Sando, would you like to share your picture of the home studio that you created?
Yes, pleasure. Thank you. A very good question. Yeah, it's a bit nasty to say, but it really depends on the lecturer. If it's a boring class in campus, it's going to be a boring class online, and likewise, if it's a great class, it's going to be a great class online. And but you could at least help the ones that are struggling, perhaps, because it was so massively. We see that there is not an organized support. That everybody was still struggling to put up all the technique. But now we're further. We're 2 semesters later. We could actually have like support for online. The ones that I see in place in my own university, they didn't answer my email. Maybe email is old-fashioned, that's possible, but yeah. Yeah, so, but what does not work is to just clone what you do in the regular classroom. It's a tiny little screen and people get tired. So you need to make it exciting. What we did, for instance, is, I think more than half of it must be made in Pakistan. I go to Fiverr and I order nice, hip, sexy clips that people, that we use in our, and so it's a little bit like what television does. So moving logos, a bit of music, but it works. And yeah, you have to make it shorter. 45 minutes is 50 minutes is a bit unfair. Yeah. So you have to have shorter breaks and some noise in between, or try to make it more interactive. But we really enjoy it, the way we do it. And you know, we did a summer school here. Mr. Owais and Mr. Arun, they will remember. Yeah, there you are. You're just so... But do you remember we did the summer school and it was online, because we couldn't do it because of COVID, and I was disappointed with it, because for me it's going to here, and not to, you know, sit at home drinking my own coffee behind a webcam. So I was not really very fond of the whole idea. And you said, yes, we can do it. And I said back home, well, I do it for the relationship, but it's not for myself, and stories like that. You never heard them, but now you did. Everybody did. But I was so wrong, because it was so alive and it was so active. And I never had such an engaging week as then, and they went on and on at night. And you know, we made the mistake of having a WhatsApp group, and there was a certain moment I turned it off and said, I'm going to sleep. But yeah, and it was such a fantastic. I think, Mr. You also joined in the final event we had. That was great. That was, not necessarily, but just different than we do now. But it was so engaging, and so it can be good. It's just whatever. Yeah, it depends on how you shape it, and but it does work, I think.
Thank you, Dr. Sand.
It's a long answer.
We do need to tap into the different adult learning styles as well. So we do understand that students have different motivation. And I'm particularly very intrigued how you've created that home studio that you keep on talking about. So yeah, maybe at a later stage we can see that. Ms. Joanne, would you like to add something? And after that, we're going to close the session.
I'll just add something very quick. I agree with my colleague here that a huge amount does come back to faculty, and faculty looking for different and innovative ways to present online, because it is a different medium, and you cannot clone what you do in the classroom. But I will just add a little of that to be a little challenging, and that is that students are not passive members of the education process. So if there's a drop in motivation, there's a drop in passion, there's a drop in that sense, as well as the responsibility on faculty, and I do not remove that responsibility, there is also a responsibility on students to work together, to look at maybe the more social side, and to look at how they can engage with each other, using the student societies, using the professional services that are available, and equally being innovative from a student perspective about how students engage. So I think it's just both sides. It's easy to just beat up on faculty, but it is both sides. We need to be conscious.
I believe that's a very important point, that the ownership of the learning should also come from the students, since they're the ones who will be benefiting from that. Sir, I'm not going to stop you, but please.
We have competition. I mean, it will be. Anybody has used mural for learning? Okay, if not, recently UNESCO, because we 8 universities of the world, we were interacting together as a student, even vice chancellor and faculty, you know. The mural has a beautiful, like it gives names. Like my name is Mukhtar, it will come Mukhtar, the great lion moving, you know, I mean, when you are interacting over there. And that was so fascinating. Everybody was getting involved over there. And at the end, once the session is over, it gives you a cumulative how much you have stayed engaged. So such type of technology.
That's a very innovative idea.
Thank you. Thank you.
I believe during COVID, a few of our faculty members also incorporated the idea of learning badges. So they would have these learning badges for different things. So for example, if one student is participating more during the online sessions, they would get this particular badge. And so we need to come up with this differentiated idea of how we need to reward the students. But yet again, Ms. Joanne raised a very pertinent point that the ownership of the learning should also come from the students. And I'm going to wrap up the panel discussion for today. We touched upon important ideas such as readiness, assessment of learning, how we can make use of data to drive change, how to both focus on learning and teaching, the aspects of differentiated teaching, accessibility, and yet again, how do we amalgamate humans and the technology. And on that note, I would like to conclude the panel session. Thank you so much to the STEAM panelists for sharing the ideas. And a special thanks to the audience for your insightful questions. And on that note, Dr. Safa, I hand over the stage to you.
Thank you, everyone. May I please request Director Islamabad Campus, Commodore Mehboob Ilahi Malik, to present shields to our panelists. Shield for Mr. Khusro Parvez Khan. Shield for Dr. Nohe Server. Shield for Professor Dr. Muhammad Mukhtar. Shield for Ms. Joanne Paul. Shield for Dr. Sanders Showers. Shield for Professor Dr. Muhammad Naveed. Okay, अभी तो उनकी बात नहीं है मेरे पास. Please come on. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the event today, and thanks for joining us today. Thank you, and Allah Hafiz.